If you see this car in real life, it's really enormous. There are no seats in this world that are more comfortable. This is where you want to sit. 170 kilometers per hour. The car goes well. Bonjour to all the French car friends. Today we are going to review a very special car, at least it is for me a very special car, but it is also one of the most controversial cars Renault has ever built. If you'd like to know more about the Renault Vel Satis, stay tuned and keep watching. Before we start to experience the actual exterior design of this car, let's talk a little bit about why this car is so controversial. I mean, just by looking at it, you will notice it isn't a shape that people are used to. It is a very futuristic, controversial design, especially if you think about it, that this car was released in 2002. From the side, it simply looks like, I don't know how to categorize this car. For some it looks like a crossover. For some other people it is kinda an SUV. Officially it is a limousine, and that's also how the car feels and drives, like a huge big limousine. The front looks kinda sharp, bulky and huge, and it just simply doesn't fit the rear of the car. But my personal opinion about this car is that the front looks very nice and the rear looks very nice. But many people will argue otherwise. What do you guys think about this car? The lights look kinda normal. The grille reminds us of almost every Renault back in the days after 2005, after the facelift versions of the Laguna, the Megane came out. So it looks like every other Renault. And well, the general impression of the front simply is bulky and huge, like a big boat. But otherwise than that, nothing really specially is going on in the front. When we move to the side profile again, you can see that it still keeps, the front of the car keeps this sharp, rather, bulky like shape, while the rear of the car softens, The rear of the car, which most people don't like, is actually very soft and round. If you see this car in real life, you will notice that the rear window is actually enormous and the whole trunk area is really enormous. The lights actually look nice. It's a nice decision to put like slim and sleek taillights to such a big, bag. The exhaust is real and is also shaped very nicely, which I absolutely love about this car. There's also a little bit of chrome here and there. Also on the side. I mean, just look at it. With age, this car simply doesn't look crazy anymore. It simply looks futuristic. For me it is a very special, a very nostalgic car. Because my dad used to own one of these cars when I was a kid. This one is my third Vel Satis that I have ever owned. But I still am completely in love with it, to be honest with you guys. Because, I don't know, there are so many memories. As a child, some nice gimmicks like that you open the trunk while pressing on the Renault logo. Sorry, it's not very clean here inside. But as you can see, the trunk is actually pretty huge. It is easily accessible and there's a lot of space. I mean, it is an executive car. The trunk also closes automatically. I mean, you need to be a little bit crazy to like this car, but this is who I am and I love it, and I'm a big fan of nostalgia, So many memories with this car, but the fun begins on the inside. Because in Renault's last real executive car, the interior should be something really great. You can argue that the Latitude or Latitude, I don't know how people in France call the successor of the Vel Satis, was an executive car, and maybe it was, but it wasn't a real Renault. It was a car that was based on a Samsung car from South Korea, and it somehow lost its soul and this typical French, you know, like flavor. So let's get into the interior. I will show you first the back seats were French president seats, and then we will continue to the cockpit. So let's enter the car. As you can see, it's keyless go. Sorry, I left some stuff here, but it will work. This is where you want to sit in this car actually, to be honest. Look at this. Room for your knees. So much room for your knees. Room for your head is a little bit limited. I'm 186 and I almost touch it. But I don't know. You can sit very comfortably here. You can sit very comfortably here. This actually is the lowest trim that was available in the Vel Satis. And still it is a perfectly luxurious car. Especially in the back. Look, I can also show you the armrest. This is what the proper armrest is called. Some nice storage here. Cup holders. Very, very nice. Very nice. You really sit and feel like a French president here. And this is actually the best place to sit in this car, believe me. There is like an ashtray if you smoke. This here looks very nice and solid. And you have a separate climate section for the back passengers. You can already see the shape of the seats. I am here to say you guys that those seats are the most comfortable seats I have ever sat in any car. It doesn't matter. Maybe a Rolls-Royce has better seats, but I have never sat in a car with better seats. Now let's move to the front and we can discover this car that was designed after a yacht. Sorry guys, I moved to another spot because, you know, this light wasn't very good there. Let's simply focus on the doors first, okay? Everything is made out of soft material. This is actually real wood. Back in the days they used real wood. This is also very nice, very solid. You hear it doesn't make any sounds, unpleasant sounds. This is some kind of Faber. Even down here it's very nice and I really like it. You have some pockets here and also here to put your stuff there. Door closing sound also is actually very nice. Okay, now we can focus on the actual interior of this car. As I already said, the seats are simply lovely. There are no seats in this world that are more comfortable than in this Renault Vel Satis. I mean, this is the lowest trim level, guys, and you still get like most luxurious stuff that you could get in these times. The steering wheel actually is very nice. It is elegant. It fits the car well. Nothing special, I would say. I would say for today's standards, it's actually pretty big. But I think for a huge car like this, it is a very nice looking steering wheel. The dashboard is shaped very nicely. You can see it ends there and gets thinner the more you move to the right. The instruments are very nice, very, very elegant, I would also say. I don't have the sat-nav. Actually, here you can get it with a sat-nav, but it doesn't really work anymore, so it's better not to have any kind of, electronics that you don't need. Then there's also a nice, like watch or clock, like in a really nice and expensive British car. Also from the other side you have a lot of storage. The materials actually are very nice, very soft. I am honest with you guys, this car is 16 years old. And of course, if you press here and there, the materials don't feel as fresh anymore, but it's still aged pretty well. I mean, the interior is like really amazing. I know people don't like the outside of the car and I can understand why. I don't share this opinion, but that's up to everyone's taste. But the interior really, really, really stands out. Believe me, if you compare this interior to a, let's say, BMW 5 Series or an E-Class from this time, design-wise, this car wins everything. Now let's talk about the central console. Here you have the air vents, a radio, nothing special, some storage here, which is practical, the climate control, another ashtray, If you get the sat nav here, you have a knob to control the sat nav. But in my case, you again get some, you know, like storage. And that's about it. You also have a big armrest, and I really love this armrest because the armrest is actually very wide. And you know, if you sit here like a king, you also need some, you know, space for your hand. So, and let me show you one more gimmick. This here actually, this wood bar, if you press it, there you have the best cup holders of every car that ever existed. Guys, look at this. Some storage and 2 cup holders on the left and also on the right. Who doesn't enjoy something like this? Every car, guys, you know, like heart beats higher when you, or faster when you find stuff like this in your car. And I forgot to tell you, down here under the rear seats you also have some storage. So if you want to hide something, you know what I mean, this is the perfect spot. So to wrap it up, I would say the interior is the strongest part of this car. I forgot to show you the panoramic roof. It's nothing special, and it doesn't open up if the ignition isn't turned on. But to be honest, it isn't worth showing you because it's small and it's pretty standard. So guys, let me know what you think. And now we will take this car for a drive. But before of this, I will show you the engine of this car. Let's start it up. Very nice. We open the hood. And now let me show you the infamous 2.0 turbo F4 RT Renault engine. I hope you are ready. So, nothing special as you can see. Engine still runs very well, no problems at all. It is one of Renault's best petrol engines ever built. 2.0 engine size, you know, 170 horsepower, 270 Newton meters. It feels really great. You might think that it isn't enough for this car, especially because, you know, the Vel Satis was also available with the 3.5 V6 engine from Nissan. But believe me, this engine is enough for this car. Of course, more is always nice to have, but the car never feels slow or anything. On the Autobahn it feels very nice, or on the highway in your country, or also in the city. So no worries. If you want to buy a car like this, you can easily go for the 2.0 turbo engine. Okay, so my dearest friends, we're going for a drive. Let's start the engine up. And let me showcase you what this car is capable of and how it drives. First, let's start with the steering. I need to turn on air conditioning because it's way too warm for September. Sorry, one moment. Yes, there we go. The steering really is amazing. So this is one of the strongest parts driving wise about this car. It really feels how I imagine a Rolls-Royce to feel, you know? I know it's not a Rolls-Royce, don't judge me again. But it really feels like a Rolls-Royce. Again, yes? This car somehow really has this, you know, the smoothness to it. The steering, even though the car is very old, feels like you would command, you know, like a yacht on the sea. And yes, it's a Renault, and people will tell me, no, how can you say stuff like this? But listen up, guys. French car manufacturers know what to do. They know how to build nice cars. They make some mistakes here and there, like every manufacturer does, but they know how to build comfortable driving, very nice, spacious cars. Like this one, the Renault Vel Satis, which is absolutely amazing. The steering is so light, you can easily, you can see it with one finger. You can drive it with one finger and it's absolutely no problem at all. The interior isn't only designed after a yacht, also the driving pleasure is reminiscent of a yacht. I am very honest with you guys about this. The next part we need to talk about is the suspension. Look, in my opinion, it's absolutely fine. Really, it is. It's fine. Many people argue it could be even, you know, if you look at a car like this, you expect like an air suspension or anything like this. It doesn't have an air suspension. It never had. But it is comfortable. It is comfortable. But in the meantime, it doesn't really is, you know, like on waves. When I say it drives like on the sea, I mean it drives very light, very also kinda indirect, but it doesn't feel like waves, like on waves. You don't get a sick stomach after driving this car. So it's a mix of stability, because this car is very stable in corners, and comfort, but rather on the comfortable side. So nothing to worry here. If you are looking for a comfortable car, this car will be amazing. Of course, many people will argue other French cars like older Citroëns, or, you know, I don't know, even older Renaults were more comfortable, but I think this was an improvement in this car, you know. Comfortable is always nice. You get here those mega comfortable seats, but nevertheless, you still want to, you know, command the car on the streets with stability and safety. And I think if it's too comfortable, it's not really good. It loses safety, I have to say. It really loses safety. Okay, so now I will drive over some bad streets. Maybe you will be able to see how the shock absorbers work and everything. Yeah, it is extremely comfortable. You don't really feel any kind of, you know, like bad roads in your neck or something like this. So you can go for longer trips easily with this car. Okay, now we will move on and drive a little bit faster. Maybe we'll be able to accelerate a little bit faster. I hope so, at least. Maybe not in first gear, but in second gear. Very nice. The sound is a typical 4-cylinder. It isn't loud, the engine sound isn't loud or anything. It is perfectly fine. I am honest with you guys, you might, as I already said, you might think, such a huge car, you need a V6 in this car, it would be much better. I agree, of course, more power, you know, is always nice to have. But look, now I'm in 5th gear. I push the car a little bit and it goes fluently, it goes very well. This car feels absolutely amazing, and the 170 horsepower engine, because in the facelift version that we have here in the Vel Satis, you get the 2.0 turbo with the 170 horsepower engine. Before the facelift you had the 163 horsepower engine. I think they changed something about the turbocharger, and it feels a little bit better, to be honest. The engine is very nice. You can see it drives fluently, it's perfectly fine. Sound isolation is also good. You don't really notice anything from the engine. Maybe when you rev it to 5,000-6,000 RPM, then yes, but otherwise everything feels fine. You can drive this car like a diesel. It somehow also feels like a diesel, you know. Wind noises are also okay. I'm honest, it's okay. They aren't present when you drive on, you know, like lower speeds. But when we'll go to the Autobahn, you will notice, thanks to the shape of the car, it is simply natural the wind hits this car. So don't expect, you know, zero wind noises like in a Mercedes S-Class or anything, but it's still completely fine. But we also have to talk about the negatives, okay? And in my opinion, and that's why I made a mistake, and I think I should have bought another car instead of this one, it's the gearbox. Not that it's particularly bad or anything, but it is simply very boring. You know, maybe older Renault manual gearboxes were very soft, very, you know, like long ways in between the gears, and this is the case in this car. I also used to own a Vel Satis like this, exact same engine, better trim. Unfortunately, someone destroyed it in a traffic accident. Thank God no one was hurt. I used to have this car with a manual transmission, okay? And I know many people will argue, and I also think like that older automatic transmissions aren't that great, especially from Renault, you know. It was a 5-gear automatic transmission, but to be honest with you guys, it fits the character of the car a lot more if you drive it with a automatic transmission. If you go for, you know, this manual transmission, the car still feels good, it feels alive, but somehow, I don't know why, I cannot explain it, even though the numbers say the automatic transmission has like 0 to 100, they have worse numbers. It felt a little bit more alive, and it simply fit the character of the car a lot more. Now we can show you a little bit more of faster driving with this car. You know, here on the Autobahn, I would wish actually to have like a more stable and stiff suspension, but it is still okay. 170 kilometers per hour, the car goes well. It still feels very safe, but you get this floaty feeling, you know. And I think modern Renaults or modern French cars in general do a better job about this. I mean, there weren't many people that bought these cars in Germany, the Vel Satis especially, so this won't be the case that you will always drive 180, 200 kilometers an hour with this car, but you know, it would be nice to have. In France maybe, where people are allowed to drive 130 kilometers an hour, it is absolutely fine, but if you go over 150, it gets a little bit floaty, and this is not like you know, the best solution. So guys, we're leaving the Autobahn. I really don't know what else I can say about this car. For me, it's the perfect car if you are an individualist, if you want a car that you don't see every day on the street, if you want a very unique car, if you want a comfortable car with a lovely interior, because the interior, I really don't discuss with me guys. This interior is amazing, it feels amazing, it is very comfortable. You have the best seats with integrated seat belts, I forgot to mention. It is absolutely unique and beautiful. It's not a sporty car, even though, you know, it feels nice. So I would say it's a perfectly fine car. If you like the design from the outside, if you like the exterior, I would recommend you to take a look on this car, because you get them for 3,000 euro, you can get a very nice model of this car. Yes, so to wrap it up, it's great, and I would like to thank you guys for joining me in this review. I hope you will, you know, subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. Comment what you think about this car. It helps the algorithm, you know, to like grow our channel. And if you love French cars as much as I do, and if you want to help the channel grow so we can even, you know, test more cars, let's help each other out, guys. And I'm wishing you a very nice day. Thank you guys, enjoy.